Now, a lot of people in the game, it is about owning the next, and they live a very insecure life. It's like you're constantly chasing the latest hype only to validate who you are. That's not why I do this. I am not a part of that. I'm not part of the biggest balls measuring contest or the longest whatever measuring contest. It's not about what the most recent is. It's about how you transform these things for you to do more. But once you're in the game for a while, and once you start acquiring these things, it starts to not lose its luster, but it starts to lose the excitement. But growing up poor, we didn't have all these things. We didn't have anything, actually. And all I had were posters on my wall, the posters of the Lambos, the Ferraris. That's all we had for inspiration. But he's like, I know you. I said, well, how do you know me? He's like, 4 years ago, you let me sit in your McLaren at this one car meet out in Katy. I'm like, wow. And he's like, and it inspired me to become a car photographer. That really drove home. That really hit me that, wow, I let these kids sit in my car just to inspire them, not knowing what's going to happen. But then I actually meet one of the kids that sat in my car 4 years ago, and he's inspired. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the N2N podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. N2N, also known as the Ninja or Prolific Ninja by my family and friends. And again, because my fans are my friends, you can call me Ninja too. This is the N2N podcast, the alpha to the omega, the beginning to the end, time of life, motivation, drive, success, self-improvement, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Back in the studio, love being here, love giving y'all free content, free game. But if you're new to the show, I'm a doctor, lawyer, business guy, have a law firm in Houston. We've been helping thousands of people since 2003, multiple business properties, investments, and so on. But in order to get there, in order to get to the point where I am, where I'm still growing, not even close to where I want to go, I have to give thanks. Gratitude is everything to me. And so before I start the podcast, before I start the show, I want to give thanks to you all. If you're new to the show, when I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes, the first thought is to thank God and the universe for an opportunity to be great and hopefully inspire somebody, maybe you, to live to their fullest controllable potential. And with that, I want to thank all the supporters out there that have helped this show grow beyond belief. It's incredible over this 4-year run, and we're just getting started. I mean, I don't even know if this will ever end. We're just doing this and giving free game. And it is free because I use my own money to get this show out there. Currently, we're not taking sponsors. So we do this on a karmic exchange. I'm all about energy. I'm all about frequency and energy exchange. And so I'm giving you this free game. All you got to do to repay that debt is to share the show. So we like to say here, for knowledge swell, share the show. That's how we grow. And that's all you have to do to restore this karmic debt. I don't want you to owe me any type of debt. I want you to just rebalance it and either share the show or go to all the projects and businesses that I'm working on. West Loop Law, that's my law firm in Houston. MyMedi.ai, which is MyMeddi.ai, which is an AI-driven medication management platform. Cura Connector, C-U-R-A Connector, C-O-N-N-E-C-T-O-R. That's for real-time matching for outpatient healthcare. Naya, it's an investment that I have, N-A-Y-A-A. 1925 Tequila. Gosh, N2N, the podcast, of course. Legacy X Token, which is a blockchain platform that we're using to revolutionize estate planning. Gosh, there's so many things that we're working on. So visit those properties or share the show. So this one's kind of gonna be quick because I'm pushed up against a 3 o'clock hearing Zoom. So anyway, this is kind of a quick one. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I was able to participate in the Gumball 3000 car parade that had an Austin stop. And if you don't know what Gumball 3000 is, look them up. It's on Instagram. It is one of the oldest, longest running car rallies in the planet. And it's one of the most popular ones. And this particular one was going from Miami to Monterrey, Mexico for World Cup. And it was a 5-day rally. I wasn't a participant in the rally. However, Austin was a stop of theirs. And we were able to kind of merge in with their program and go throughout Austin, basically shut down Congress, shut down the Capitol. Congress was completely blocked off for our cars, and we were able to merge in with them and participate in what's called the Gumball finish line. So we're just cruising down Congress towards the Capitol, it's just, imagine the streets lined up with railings that are decorated with Gumball and their sponsors. We're cruising down at 5 miles per hour is in my Ferrari and just revving it, V12, loud noise, and it's just thousands of people lining up on Congress, and you see the Capitol of Texas right behind. And so you're cruising, you get to do a few laps, cruise, and you end up at the Capitol. By far, why am I telling you this? Because uh, it was not on my bucket list of lifetime things to do. Honestly, it wasn't even in the radar. Like, not even if you said, "Hey, Jan, what do you think about gumball?" I'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool." Not once in my mind would I've imagined being in the actual gumball parade, shutting down Austin, shutting down Congress Avenue, like completely shut down. Right. And I don't say this to brag. I say this because it's the experience, right? I did not think this would happen, not even on the bingo card of life. Uh, how it got there, there's so many things that lined up, so many people involved that created this opportunity. I say this not to, again, not to brag, not to be that kind of guy. I don't care what you think about, this guy's talking shit, whatever. I say this because subsequent to that, I come back to Houston and I'm meeting with some friends, talking business, you know, and we're talking about some big things. And the question came up, man, if this thing hits, what are you going to do with all your money? What's the next car you're going to buy? Right. And it hit me through the gumball experience that really, yeah, the cars, the watches, of course, all these things, they're important to me. They have use and utility, and I can't disclose all of it. But it's not about that at this point in my life. I understand early on, it could be, man, I'm going to bust my ass because I want that limo. I'm going to bust my ass because I want a super mansion. I'm going to bust my ass because I want to buy that AP watch. I want to these things cost a lot of money. And in order to acquire these things, you're going to have to bust your ass. That's true. And that is a great, great motivator if you're early on. But once you're in the game for a while, and once you start acquiring these things, material things, for whatever reason you want to acquire them, um, it it starts to not lose its luster, but it starts to lose the excitement. Yeah, it's cool going out and buying it, right? Amazing feeling, amazing sense of accomplishment. But once you have obtained these things, the Ferrari, the McLaren, the Aston, the Rolex, the I don't know, you name it, the Hublot, the Vacheron, all these things, right? You understand that it's really not about the things. It's really about what these things can do for you. So on the outside looking in, people will be like, man, why does he need another supercar or hypercar or whatever? Why does he need to buy another watch? And it's not about the buying the other watch. It's about what do these things do for you, or how can you turn these things into part of your plan and goals, right? Obviously, on the one hand, these things, like just like there's anything else, there's levels to the game. I just had 2 events with my man Matthew Springate. He's the #1 private client service rep for Louis 13, which is a cognac 100-year distillation, and they've been around 150 years. There's levels to this. There's levels to the game. At any point in time, from zero to, let's call it $100,000, there's levels to that. Within that, from 100 to 1 million, levels within that. From 1 million to 10 million, levels within that. From 10 million to 100 million, levels within that. Even at the upper echelons with Elon Musk and freaking Jeff Bezos and you name them, Tim Cook, all these guys, there's levels to their game. I've talked about that before. But the material things is not about the material things. It's not about owning the next. Now, a lot of people in the game, it is about owning the next. And they live a very insecure life. It's like you're constantly chasing the latest hype only to validate who you are. That's not why I do this. I am not a part of that. I'm not part of the biggest balls, measuring contest or the longest whatever measuring contest. It's not about what the most recent is. It's about how you transform these things for you to do more. And for me, it's about inspiration. For me, it's about inspiring. Why do I have these things? It's because I've told this story before. When I was growing up, we grew up poor, poor, poor. And then, my parents worked their asses off, had a very good level of, middle class, upper middle class success. And so now I'm carrying the torch. But growing up poor, we didn't have all these things. We didn't have anything, actually, for a while. And all I had were posters on my wall, the posters of the Lambos, the Ferraris, Magnum PI, the 308, white Mercy. I remember a white Countach. Often these posters had a, hot blonde model sitting on top of the car. That's all we had for inspiration. It wasn't like you'd pull up to a gas station and see a Ferrari, like, hey, yeah. Or they didn't even have car meets back then. All we had for inspiration is, in my case, were posters and like muscle car magazines at the grocery store. Later, it was like the Rob Report and things like that, where you can just kind of daydream. But it's not about, again, the material things. It's not about the material. It's actually about what these objects can afford you to do. One component for me, why I do these things, why I participate in these car events, is inspiration. Any kid now, any kid, any age, I'm talking about, younger, like elementary school age. If I'm at a car meet and they show interest in my car, I'm letting them sit in the car. Often I let them start up the car. And the reaction from them, their parents, their siblings, you can tell these kids are inspired. They're just total in awe. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I just had this kind of, out of body experience starting up a Ferrari or a McLaren or whatever. And in fact, I know this is true. And I've shared this story before. There's one car event. I'm about to leave and I'm walking to my car and there's a kid, his back is facing me, but he's standing in front of my door, right? He's standing in front of my driver's side door. So I go up to him, I say, yo, son, you mind moving? I'm going to try to get in my car. I gotta be somewhere. This kid, he's photographing other cars. Like he's a teenager kind of kid. He whips around and he looks at me and he says, I know you. And I said, you know me? How do you know me? Obviously, I have this podcast and stuff, but he doesn't, I don't think he's a listener. Hopefully he is. But he's like, I know you. I said, well, how do you know me? He's like, 4 years ago, you let me sit in your McLaren at this one car meet out in Katy. I'm like, wow. And he's like, and it inspired me to become a car photographer. That really drove home. That really hit me that, wow, I let these kids sit in my car just to inspire them, not knowing what's going to happen. But then I actually meet one of the kids that sat in my car 4 years ago, and he's inspired. And then he's just a young teenager. Who knows where he's going to be in 10 years? He could be running a multi-billion-dollar AI company. I have no idea. But the fact that I inspired him to be more than who he was, or gave him an idea of where he wanted to go, that makes spending however much that, a couple $100,000 on the car well worth it. That makes the idea of working harder to get more worth it. Because if you're buying the material just because they're material, it's a nonstop, never-ending chase. You're like a dog chasing its tail. You'll never catch it because there's always something newer, always something better, always something louder, always something with better tech. There's always more and more new. Technology keeps going. There's always something more popular. If you're constantly chasing hype on the latest, greatest thing, it's a never-ending race and you'll end up kind of broke. However, if you're comfortable in who you are, and in going that chasing, again, I really personally think it's masking either like an insecurity or like imposter syndrome. Like, I really don't deserve this, so I need to keep proving to myself that I deserve it. So I'm going to go buy the latest whatever, right? And that's not to say if you can get there, by all means, man, if that's what you want, go after it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a personal choice. But I buy the shit I buy because it's unique to me. So I only buy the things I like. I don't chase, if that makes sense. That things that resonate with me. But then 2 is if I know I'm buying these things to inspire for a reason or purpose bigger than just having the thing, it makes it so much more worth it to me. So much more worth it. Because in the end, when you go to enough car events, every car looks like a car. It's a every SVJ looks like the next SVJ. Even in my case, every McLaren looks like the other McLaren. Like there's only so many times you can be wowed by a car. Now that happens, occasionally. Like when I was in California and somebody I know bought the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail, $30 million car. I was like, wow, that's insane. But in the end, I'm like, it's still just a car. And I don't mean to simplify it like that. I mean, there's uniquenesses to every car, the engineering, and if you're really a cardiophile, I don't know what you call them, a car enthusiast, you get really into the engineering, which is fantastic. I love it. I love talk engineering with other people about cars. But the idea of just buying it, to buy it, to have it, obviously, it can be I would say it can be a shallow experience. It's exciting, for the first week, month, maybe 2 months, maybe half a year, having the newest, latest shiny object. But then then if that's the only reason to have it, it's not long standing. Like with anything else worthwhile, it's the depth of understanding versus the surface of understanding. If you're superficial about the understanding or the purpose or the why or why you do things, it'll never take grip because it doesn't have the depth of the understanding. Like the cars I have, there's deep understanding behind each one that I bought, the story that they have, just like the watches that I have. There's a depth of appreciation, not because I'm looking for social validation. Because the idea of inspiring is so much more worth the idea of buying just to buy. And I know there's several of you out there that buy just to buy, the flash, the show, just the flash part. It's just like the flash is only as good as the latest compliment. That's it. That's all it's worth. But the knowledge that you've inspired somebody, for me, that lasts a lifetime. That lasts a lifetime. It'll be, it'll probably be 10 years from now, I'll be like, man, I wonder what's going on with that kid that I met. He's the photographer. I hope he's doing whatever. Hope he's doing big things. But that lasts infinitely much longer than the latest, I don't know. I don't even remember people that are like, yeah, that's a cool car. And they walk off. Okay, whatever. But I say this to say, man, use it as goals. Use it as motivation. Wanting to buy the latest thing, fantastic. I love it. If that's going to inspire you or motivate you or give you the grit and the grind and the determination to really go out there and make a better life for yourself, by all means, I endorse that 1,000%. But if you're buying just to buy at a certain point, nah. I mean, your purpose, just like anything, your purpose has to be bigger than you. It has to be bigger than, acquiring, 20 cars, 50 cars, whatever, what your collection is. I know people, they have immaculate 100-car collections, don't drive their cars. Now they're too old to drive their cars, and then they're trying to sell them off. Did them nothing. Couple years of bragging, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that, and it does nothing. Now, if it was something inspirational, hey, let me bring this out there, let me show the people, let me inspire other people so that they can also achieve their dreams, that's worth infinitely more than the value of that car collection, I would say. So, this episode is primarily because, I was just posed that question the other day at a lunch with a friend of mine. Hey, this thing hits off, what other car are you going to buy? I was like, man, honestly, it's not about buying the car. And it really forced me to pause for a second. It's like, why do I do the stuff I do? And then it hits me, I'm here to inspire. Just like this podcast, I do this with my own money to inspire. That inspiration, that spark, man, that's true karma building. That's building up the karma credit bank. Because that person that's inspired now, they might change the world. They may change the world. And I hope they do for the better. Right? That's why I do this. That's why I buy the cars I do. That's why I go to the shows that I go to. That's why it's why I do the things I do. The mission statement of my law firm and all my businesses is changing people's lives. Because that's the true legacy. Anybody that's old, that knows, that has car collections, watches, or whatever, when they're in their final season, they're probably trying to sell them off because they know they can't take it with them. And it's probably a hollow feeling of, man, I spent hundreds of millions of dollars and now I got to, can't do anything with it. But if you inspire somebody, man, I'd give away the collection for free because I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. So with that, go buy the watch, go buy the car, go do what you want. As long as you're inspired and as long as it's for a reason bigger than yourself, I fully endorse that 1000%. And if you go do that, please post me, DM me, show me what you bought, and I'll repost you happily repost you. Because if this inspired you to get to that point, I know it's going to inspire you to get even further. So with that, I'm going to close the show as I close my day, which is when my head hits the pillow. Before I fall off and doze off to sleep, I thank God and the universe one more time to have hopefully lived to my fullest controllable potential and hopefully have inspired somebody else to do theirs. And hopefully that's yours. That's you. So if you were inspired through this episode or any other episode, please do share the show. If you're knowledge swole, share the show. That is how we grow. Be great today, but be even more grateful. And I'm going to look forward to bringing you another episode next week. Let's go.